That was wonderful, Thelma.
Thank
I,
you.
I often don't understand the process. I've heard you for so long saying, we can have a different childhood, but I didn't really understand it. And so when you explained it, I wrote it all down, and that helps me a lot. And
Good.
Sam is sitting here just really amazed at what everything you just said.
Yeah, so right on. And the timing is just like awesome as always.
Thank you, sir.
I try to go back and try to explain that it's never too late to have a happy childhood. And it just, I couldn't do it like Thelma. Yeah. I also love the fact you like we're talking about the attachment. I mean, that is certainly something I remember from Dwight, or like, I'm starting to get uptight about something and he's like, release that attachment, and it really, really does, like we
Mhm.
get in our head, like how we want something to be, really ties back to control, wanting to
Right.
control something
Exactly.
that's really not something that we can control,
Hmm.
which gets us more frustrated and,
Yeah.
just awesome. Thank you. Yeah, it was a blessing today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Dwight would often say release attachment to outcome.
Yep.
And that really relieves so much stress in us
Hmm.
because, it releases that need to have this an outcome a certain way
Yeah.
and allow the other person to, or whatever it may be, weather, sunshine, rain, whatever it may be.
And let go of the need to be right.
Hmm.
It does. I'll just talk about it real quick. I just started reading, there's a Mel Robbins book called Let Them. And
Yes.
it's kind of like so in line with
I
what you're
have
talking
heard.
about because it's releasing the fact that we can't control other people's
Right.
feelings, thoughts, emotions.
Hmm.
And when we do, that's where we get frustrated, right? But it's not just letting people do what they're going to do. But there's the other side of that is let me. It's right. You can't control somebody else's side, but you can control how you want to react. Like if somebody made a big decision to leave a group that was unhealthy for them, right? And the other people are going to be upset about it. The idea is like, that's okay. Let them, that's up to them to deal with their emotions, however they do.
Yep.
But it's up to you to realize you had to do the right thing for you.
Yeah. I had an experience with that just this past week. Um, we have what they call a coffee chat every morning at 10:30. And a group of us get together and have our coffee and just chat. And it got into politics, and two people got really almost violent.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, um, they can't do anything about it, about the situation, but they have ideas on how it should be, and they can't do anything about that either,
Hmm.
other than see peace, whatever that means, see peace. But it busted up the coffee chat for that day. And it was interesting to see how people react.
I like that you said see peace. I have a friend who like you guys know that some of the things that I've been through. And anyway, whenever I talk about something positive that Sam and I are doing, she sees the not good in it. And if that's something that I can just remind her is to see peace.
And see the good versus the other side. We're
Right.
always trying to see what's wrong, or
Mhm.
but yeah, it does change your
It's
scenario.
not worth getting all upset over something that you can't do anything about.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Sorry to
Lisa.
jump in here. Thanks, Lisa and Sam, for your little conversation there. And Thelma, thank you so much for choosing. Or do your when you speak, are these things that just come to you at the time, or do you think about it beforehand and then you just kind of talk? Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because it's so what you talked about today is just divine timing for me.
Yeah.
And I was curious first if that is something like, do you think about what you're going to share before you come on?
I usually get a title
A title. Okay.
and sometimes a reading, but the
It's a
rest.
free it's a free flowing thing for you, right? Yeah, that's what I am feeling. And um everything you just said is like oh boy, it's right. Has hit every mark for me today. And I just recently separated from a harmful relationship.
Mm, congratulations.
Um, yeah, a um, a harmful relationship, and what it was a friendship of sorts, but finally realizing that it was causing me more harm
Mhm.
than to stay in the actual friendship itself, and that was a hard decision to do this, but I moved away and have moved out with the help of other people too in my life, Lisa being one of them, Sam. But I think I've needed reinforcement. And you just what you just said is just given me a lot of strength and
Great.
understanding and reminding me that um, I am I am also the one. I know that, right? I am also the one, and the one is in me. And I want to come back to this because I am learning and growing. And I feel like almost letting go of this relationship, friendship has now opened up room
Great.
for me to do this, to be healthier. And that's all I've really been seeking, and I just really wanted to thank you. I was just everything you said I could if I yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah, sometimes it's necessary. I
yeah.
mean,
Sometimes
we went through a very similar scenario, and sometimes it's actually necessary, and it's a good thing, man. It
Mhm.
empowers you to make a
Right.
decision about your own well-being, and you can't really worry. It's not yours to worry about their emotions.
Right.
No, when you make a decision that's right for you,
Right.
right? And that's really important. And you deserve to be happy. Everybody deserves to be happy. And
Right.
there's so many things that we just, with the attachment side, that we just can't control how other people think,
Hmm.
act and what their emotions are. So good for you. Good for
Yeah.
you.
It's so easy when you're in a vulnerable place, which I am, to get pulled into that type of environment or
Hmm.
spiral or that type of thing, and working myself out of it and being here now. um I still have, but like what you said, Thelma, earlier, you said no matter what you're feeling is an opportunity. And that's what I have to continue to remind myself. If I'm feeling guilt or if I'm feeling,
Hmm.
um, you know, uh, uh, all these different feelings, it's an opportunity for me to, grow
Right,
more.
right.
And that's what that is. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's all sink
Yes, you are.
it's sinking in and it's sinking in. So yeah, I'm just grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And to challenge some of those negative thoughts or negative emotions that to go, is it really necessary? And it's amazing how quickly emotions kind of come and go if we let them. But I loved your question, Lisa, about Thelma, how she does her, because there's so many times everything she covers, I mean, it just is like, wow, that was just like
Right
so right
on.
on to what I needed to hear at the time. And it was just amazing words of wisdom. So thank you, Thelma. We love you.
Thank you, Spirit.
Yeah, thank you, Spirit.
And I love all of you.
Yeah, you present things so well. It's such a gift.
Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me? Can you hear me?
Let Patricia talk.
I
Yes, we
can't.
can hear you,
Yeah,
Patricia.
I just can't. It seems as though you, Lisa, you carry. Okay, help me out, Spirit. Thelma is a divine guide. She's been practicing and studying all of these years so that she could give us this kind of information, so it would flow freely. And so, how does she get that? She has gotten it as the way that she has shown us. Practice, study, practice, engage, practice, study, engage, practice, study. She has done it all of these years. So how did it, she has shown us. She is a master to our lives, a guide to our lives. And so how does she do it? She does it through this Holy Spirit. The Spirit has endowed her with that opportunity, that ability. And to know that is a part of our life, that we have been blessed that way. That's how she does it. Thank you very much. I am grateful. I am grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah. And the encouragement, it's practice. It's practice. It's study.
It is practice.
It's practice. It's
Mhm.
study.
Yeah.
You
First
practice
need to
what you
learn.
study. Just study and collect information. You have all the information, then you use that, employ it. And
Mhm.
that's what she has been able to do for us, for me, over all of these years. And so, well, how does it come out so easily? Because she's filled that way.
I think the term is extemporaneous. And it's really about being in the moment. And and that's what makes it powerful because you just, get guided by where things are and as I respond to other people, it you know, it feeds off of each other in the moment. And you know, it's um and I think I said a couple weeks ago, every conflict I've ever been in with anybody is because I was trying to change or control them. And as long as I accept them where they are, I don't have a conflict with them.
Right.
But, it's just so easy to fall into that, especially, for me when I'm driving, why are they turning that way? Why don't they do this? What
Yeah.
are you waiting for? Because I'm wanting them to drive like I want to drive,
Right.
and I don't have that right. That's not, they get to drive how they want to drive.
Mhm.
And it's hard, but when then you translate that into a relationship and letting somebody be who they are, instead of who I want them to be, um, if I can accept them, then there's
Yeah.
no problem. It's when I'm trying to change them. That's when I have a problem.
Right.
But I blame it on them because they won't change. It's like what you were saying, no one else can make us sad or happy. We make that choice. And I know as children, you know, you know, my girls, swear on the Bible if they were into that. Um, that their sister's making them upset, and they don't see that, it's really what they're thinking about it, and when we recognize that power that we have, that free will that we have, that we can think about anything any way we want to, then we benefit. It's like, there's white and black in everything. If you take a white piece of paper and you look at it, with enough of a microscope, you'll find a dark spot. And the same thing with a black, piece of paper. And it's really what we choose to look at. And some of them are easier than others to see, or more obvious, or but they're both there, and we have that opportunity. And you talked about worrying, and what I've always said about worrying is what we do when we can't do anything about what we're worrying about. It's like, are they going to get home? Oh, I hope they get home. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I hope they get home. Okay. That's not going to help them get home or not. So I have to, and that's where the power of staying in the moment, because I just wait and see, because I can have myself a nervous wreck and they've been fine,
Right.
you know? But I made
During the
myself
trip.
a nervous wreck and then I blame it on them because they were late, you know? Well, they were late, because they had to cash in their winnings for the lottery. And it took them an extra while, but I went home worrying, that something terrible has happened, because, the brain is wired to make predictions based on past experiences. And if I don't see that and just remind myself, well, that's something that could happen again. It happened before, but it doesn't mean it will happen again. And then get back into the moment and deal with what is happening, then it just saves a lot of worrying. It saves a lot of anxiety. And it can also save me a lot of expectations that I set up for a positive thing. And it doesn't, and then when it doesn't happen, I'm devastated because it wasn't what I expected, even though what did happen was pretty good from nothing. So,
That book that Sam was talking about called Let Them, that's a really excellent book. And it really is about letting it go and just recognize what's yours to handle. And if it's not yours, leave it alone. Let it go.
yeah.
If somebody's doing something you don't like, let them. It's none of your business.
Yeah, I agree, Thelma. Yeah, and it was really interesting to think. Yeah, one of her premises that every human being wants to control and have control in their life,
Mhm.
and they're thinking about it in a different way than we are. And
Yeah.
there's so many good examples in the book of things that other people do that we get upset about, right? Because we're trying to, in essence, trying to control what they do. Like good
Right.
example from John Anthony, and you think like, oh, your friend doesn't invite you to something, and it's like, oh, you're upset and you're hurt, and it's that's not within our ability to control.
Mhm.
There are other reasons, and we can stop and think about it and worry about it. What were they thinking? Did I do something wrong? And it's so easy for our brain to go down that rabbit hole and to realize if we start to think about, all right, just kind of let them do what they're going to do and just kind of manage our response, which I think it goes back to evaluating the when we think about like it's never too late to have a happy childhood, to think about the experience and maybe to think about something differently or try to find the positive in a situation.
Mhm.
But it just gives you the ability to stop and, try to evaluate something so it doesn't feel like, oh my God, I'm so mad at them. Or they're the ones that are making me angry. And it's, yeah.
Well, something else that I think of is that, as our vibration changes, all right, as we learn and grow and
Mhm.
we
Yes, it
raise
does.
it, some things fall away and then new good things come into our life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think sometimes it's not easy to see that I'm interpreting things sometimes without just seeing them. I
Mhm.
used to use the example, if I had a group and someone and I had an argument, and and so then we leave group, and then the next week there's a group, and I see them, before they come into the room, and I say hi to them, and they say hi, and then I go into the group, and then I say hi to other people, but I don't say hi to that person that I've already said hi to, because I've already said hi to them. But other people go, "Oh, wow, did you notice John Anthony didn't say hi to that person? He must still have a grievance with that person." No, I've already said hi to them. Yeah. But there's so many little subtle things like that where we try to interpret what we think is going on, and it may be what's going on, but oftentimes it's not what's going on. And because we don't really know, but we jump to conclusions anyway, and then that becomes our fact,
Mhm.
you know. And that's what makes it so fun to interact with large groups of people because we're all thinking about things so differently.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we cannot control what other people are thinking or what triggers their emotions. And it's just like a futile exercise when we try to control that. It's not
Yeah.
ours to control. And that just makes us more frustrated.
Yeah.
So just like your daughter's, like my sister's making me angry. Yeah, it's a great example.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Does anybody know of anybody teaching science of mind or teaching courses or a book group on Zoom over the summer?
I'm going to be doing a book group at Unity of Bon Air.
Mom teaches, will be teaching the science of minds on Monday nights during the summer. She still teaches on Monday. Well, she's not now because she's doing the recovery, and so she stopped for this month. But she
Yeah.
teaches science of mind on Monday nights
Does she teach
from
it on
7:30 on
Zoom,
Zoom.
Patricia?
On Zoom, yeah, on
Oh,
Zoom.
so Lisa, you want to get in touch with Patricia?
I sure do.
Because Lisa's in Michigan.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah. We can. I will put. Her phone number, my mom's phone number, in the chat. I'll put
Okay.
it in, and then you can call her and talk with her. Call her next week, Lisa. Because like I
Oh,
said, we're in recovery. She won't be starting this until June anyway.
okay.
And June is like next week, but
Right,
uh
right.
but
But
still, yeah,
into
depending
June.
on her depending on her rate of recovery, she will resume. But it is her plan to do the Monday night, and she's been doing it for a while. I'm gonna give you her number now.
Thank you.
And Thelma, I'd love to come to your book group. Is it on Tuesdays?
Uh-huh. Yes, it'll be Tuesday from 1 to 3.
Okay.
And we haven't decided on the book yet,
Okay.
but I can let you know next week.
Okay.
And when do you start?
It'll be probably the second or third week in June.
Okay.
I would be there in a nanosecond, but yeah, I'd love to go to a book club with you, Thelma.
Well, thank
Maybe,
you.
maybe someday.
Right. Yeah. And since I don't do computer, this is a miracle.
Yes, it is. What a treasure.
Oh, no kidding. What a treasure is right.
Wonderful team that gets me on
Grateful
and
to them
off.
too. I'm grateful to that team.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful. Yes.
Yeah, so thank you, Susan, for filling in today.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's my pleasure, and I get so much out of it. And I was thinking of a couple of phrases relative to the talk, and that is perception makes projection.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
throughout the years, I have gotten a deeper understanding of that perception because in years past, my perception was right,
Right.
Right.
right? The black and white thinking.
Mhm.
And gradually the light begins to creep in. Maybe there's different ways to look at this.
Yeah.
And then another phrase I tell myself is, and I call it the AAA insurance policy. And the premium that I pay is I pay attention. So awareness, acceptance, and action. So I have to become aware of what I'm doing or thinking, my perception of what's going on so many levels. And then I have to accept this is what I am thinking. It's just what I'm thinking, or accept this is what the other person is doing. That's what they're doing. And then release those attachments. And then I can take action in a more mindful and higher energy. I call it a high flying energy place. But I can't, I'm in a process. It's a process, and it usually takes time to unfold. And so participating in something like this helps me to become more aware and more able to be in the present moment, which is where I want to be,
Mhm.
interact on a heart level in the present moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Susan.
Love that.
It reminded me, the reaction versus response. When I react to something that I have fear about, I'm just going to fight, flee, or freeze.
Yeah.
But when I learn to respond to it, then I can think about my choices. And when I take that time to stop and think, then I'm choosing to respond, and seeing that it's something I may be fearful of losing or not getting, but it's not a life-threatening fear, like when we react, to you know, something flying at my head, and I just duck, that's a good thing. And but when it's just something that's coming towards me and it's not going to take off my head, I need to respond to it, think of my choices, and so Patricia, you were talking about the Are You a Cat, and that's what Are You a Cat does. It's different ways of responding to our fears so that we can process through them as opposed to just reacting to them where we either shut down, and distract ourselves or numb out, or we turn it to fighting, which is anger at others or ourselves, or we just flee, and just avoid. And so
Yeah.
it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
John Anthony, can I ask you, are you doing any courses or Zooms at all?
You can ask me.
I can ask you.
Yes, I am. I do men's and women's groups.
Okay.
So I have a women's group that I do on Tuesday evenings at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, five, did you say 5 p.m. on Tuesdays?
Yeah, it's 5 to 7.
Okay. Is your group, do you follow the you are a cat kind of idea, or is
It
it
teaches those tools. Yeah, it teaches emotional management, really. Learning. I go over the dimensions, the 4 dimensions of emotional healing, and you know it's I
Is that?
these the 4 dimensions of emotional healing and the relationship between thoughts, feelings, attitude, and experience. And then what we do that causes shame, because we're judging ourselves through someone else's eyes, and how to have the healthy shame. Oops, I made a mistake. Don't turn it into a toxic shame where I am a mistake, and taking responsibility for our response to the event so we can get an outcome that we like, as opposed to trying to control the event. That's what Sam was talking about before. And then also realizing, that when we have an incident or it has causes us pain and hurt, and learning to identify that and then give ourselves the "Are you a cat?" to alleviate, as opposed to distracting where we do things to keep busy or be in another person's business, or addictions, or numbing out, or anger at others, because all these things are ways that we're trying to make other people give us "Are you a cat?" instead of learning how to identify our pain and give ourselves that "Are you a cat?" So
Okay. Is that a class that if I haven't been attending so far that I can jump in on, or are you
yeah, it's an ongoing class.
on?
So what you would have to do is to set up a 2-hour meeting. And in that meeting, I would find out from you to what extent there's a problem, or, why you're coming, and then I would explain to you the tools and how they work. And then you can, and then, there's a fee for that. And then, and then you get a copy of the book, that I have the tools, uh, how to build and sustain, inner peace and relational harmony. And then, you just, on that extemporaneous way, people just bring up things that happen to them during the week, and then they get walked through to be shown how they use the tools, because sometimes we use the tools and we don't even realize that we use them.
Right.
So
Okay.
it's about learning how to use them with intention, so that I can, with intention, work through something, as opposed to kind of stumbling here and there and then finding out in hindsight, oh, well, when I did that, that's how I was respecting myself, or that's how I was understanding or accepting myself, or, caring, appreciating, or trusting myself, or that's how I was stuck in the second dimension, blaming somebody else for what was happening, and, and not taking responsibility for my part, and things like that. And so it's that repetition every week that
Yeah.
helps to create that new neural
Yeah.
pathway response, so that we can learn to respond to fear instead of reacting to it, where it's either fight, flee, or freeze.
Right. Right. Okay. So what would I do? Do I just call you and set up? It's a 2-hour interrogation.
It's a 2-hour interview.
That's good.
I don't know why I said that, but
Probably because it's, telling somebody what's going on for you might feel like an interrogation.
no, I know. No,
You
actually, I
know,
don't.
we also don't deprive you of water or food while you're going through it.
Perfect.
And there's no electrical stimulation.
So should I just call you
Yes,
or
you can call me. Do you have my number?
no?
Okay, so do you have something to write down?
Sure do.
So everybody can, it's 215-750-0323.
Okay. And
You can
then I
call or text that number.
or text it.
Yeah, so just, reach out, and then I'll get back to you. If I'm available, I'll answer the call, and if not, I'll get back, you leave a message, and then I'll get back to you when I can.
Okay. I mean, that all sounds really really interesting to me. I mean, it's another facet of yeah, healing for me and learning,
Yeah.
which is where I am right now. So thank you, everybody, Thelma, John Anthony, um, Patricia, for sharing your mom's information too, Lisa, Sam. I see Corey's there
And Susan.
and Susan. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. I always feel I always feel better on Sundays because I know I'm in a like-minded community and I'm just learning a lot, a lot of good things for me that I've needed to for a very long time. So even if I'm 67, I'm still learning. So, you know,
That's good.
Just a youngster.
Yeah.
You're a youngin.
Listen, watch my shock face.
JR, yep. We're at the tail end of JR's. Yeah, the tail
Yeah,
end. And then
we're
I
in
think,
JR's book group and we love it.
yeah. And then I think he's taking the summer off, right? Because he's kind of, well, maybe not. I don't know. He said maybe he'd do a meditation. He's thinking about doing some kind of meditation Zoom maybe after the book club's done. I don't know. But anyway, thank you.
My mom only does does the science of mind.
Right. And that's on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Mondays.
Monday.
Mondays from
John
7.
Anthony's Tuesday. Yep. Stevens is. Yep. Got it. And don't call her until after next week.
Oh,
So
no. You can call
Oh.
her. You can call her soon. I'm next week. Yeah. I'm just saying
Just
in
wait a
terms
little.
of getting ready. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you can call her to talk to her to see if it is something that you want to do with her. Yeah.
Thank you.
Patricia,
Yes.
be sure to give your mom my love and appreciation for coming through the way she always does.
It is my pleasure. I will certainly do that. I will certainly do that. Thank you.
I wish her well.
Yes, please say hi to your mom from us, Patricia.
I will. When I'm gonna she'll join us one of these Sundays
Oh, good.
soon. Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Glad that everything worked out on the May 1st thing.
And so am I. It was preventive one, and that's why I told her, you're not ill. We're moving towards a higher calibration, and so that particular circumstance came up so that it could be she could move through it. And so yes, I thank you very much. She has done very well, and she's recovering very well.
Great.
That's
And
great.
Thelma, do you all realize? No, you don't, because you haven't been living my life like I have been living. But this July, which is only a month and a half away, because next week is June.
Mhm.
June made 2 years ago is when I moved to Yorktown. And July will be 2 years since I've been here.
Wow.
Oh.
No, and that's something. 2 years since we started this
Yeah.
spin.
Wow.
Sure. Time
I'm
flies.
glad.
I know.
I'm glad we still get to see you, Patricia.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
that's why I love that this is the one technology that I do love, Zoom. And to think this was the one technology that was the deal breaker for me staying at Virginia Union.
Really?
Oh.
This was the deal breaker. I did not want to teach online.
Mm.
And I refused to make the proper adjustment for it. And so I retired. And then 6 months later, I became the Zoom queen. Everything is on Zoom. Monday through Monday, I'm on Zoom now. I'm just saying during that time, that's what happened. That was the irony. This was the deal breaker, but this is my major engagement tool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so now you have Saturdays and Sundays.
I do. I do. And I'm here all day Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah. Because after this, I'm in a study group and we study from 1 to 3. And then I socialize. I have some friends that come from all around the country. We get on Zoom and just hang out. We
That's
do.
great.
Bring your potato chips, your popcorn, your wine, your soda. Let your dog sit up under you. All of those things occur in Sunday chatters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you. That sounds lovely.
It is fun. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Corey, it was great to see you.
Yes, you too, Thelma. I know it's been a long time.
It has.
And JR had said, "Oh, I'm filling in for Thelma," and I said, "Oh, I forgot Thelma had her Sunday sessions." So I jumped on last week, and so I've got it on my calendar now, and I don't
Oh,
know that I'll
good.
make every Sunday, but I've got it on my calendar now to
Okay.
keep coming back. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
gonna be
great to
every
see you.
Sunday
Always good
because
to see
remember
you.
she became committed once she moved into the space and the groove of understanding the philosophy. So now that she knows that there is a committed group on Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. Yeah, I'm so glad. I was so glad to see Corey last week.
And I
I
write, and I sit there, I write, and everything, like I just write down so many things that people are saying, and I agree that this talk this morning, there was a lot of things that have been on my mind that you
Mm.
touched on, Thelma. So I appreciate it. And when people talk, I just kind of take notes. And so I always get something out of these groups. So I appreciate you having me.
yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and Corey, on Podbean podcasts under Spiritual Mind Center, you can see, this again when I get it on. I'm 2 weeks behind, but
It's okay.
when I put it on, and there's all the other ones that Thelma has
Okay.
done, and then if you go back far enough, there's Dwight and Thelma, and and then also on YouTube at Spiritual Mind Center.
Okay.
I get it up there. You can see the live version of this.
Great. Thank you.
So,
Mhm.
okay.
So, John Anthony, you said Podbean. Do I do
I
www.podbeanpodcast.com?
probably that would, Podbean podcast,
Dot
and
com?
and that, um, you know, I'm not sure. Um, you can try it with or without. Sometimes if you just go to Podbean podcast, you don't have to do the .com or the www. If you go on Google, it'll just take you there. But it's on. You go on the internet.
Okay.
It's Podbean podcast, and then it's POD, and then B as in boy, EAN,
Mm-hmm.
and then Spiritual Mind Center. So,
Okay. Thank you.
mhm. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay.